Coming up on Global Business, Economic Recovery, Premier Li Qiang convenes high-level symposium to consolidate and strengthen China's upward economic recovery trend. Remarkable surge, China's central bank boosts gold reserves for the 17th consecutive month, while gold prices surge to new all-time highs. Factual rebuttal, Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao vigorously rebuts overcapacity allegations in the electric vehicle industry at a crucial roundtable meeting in Paris. Hello and welcome to this edition of Global Business on CGTN. I'm Guanxing in Beijing. We start the program with news on the Chinese economy. China said on Monday they will continue to strengthen its economic recovery and invigorate market entities. Speaking at a symposium on China's economic situation, Premier Li Qiang stressed on the effective implementation of macroeconomic policies and prioritizing the well-being of the people. Despite the challenging external environment, experts at the symposium highlighted the ongoing upward trajectory of Chinese economy. Premier Li underscored the importance of recognizing and addressing any existing issues within the economy amidst the uncertainties of the current external environment. Multiple institutions have recently expressed optimism and released forecasts regarding the rebound of China's economic growth in 2024. The ASEAN Plus 3 Macroeconomic Research Office said in its forecast that China's economy will rebound this year with a 5.3% growth. The group said consumption will continue to be a major driving force for the economy thanks to the constant improvement of the labor market. And Citigroup also raised its forecast for China's 2024 GDP growth from 4.6% to 5% and expressed confidence that the full-year growth target is achievable. Similarly, the Peninsula Capital reported moderate optimism for China to sustain over 5% growth this year. This optimism is attributed to proactive policies and recovery of global manufacturing activities in the coming months. China's central bank said on Sunday that it will be introducing a new loan refinance scheme for science-tech innovation and technological transformation companies. The loans are aimed at increasing financial support for small and medium-sized tech companies, as well as for technological transformation and equipment renewal projects. The refinancing amount is 500 billion yuan or $69 billion with an interest rate of 1.75% at a term of 1 year, which can be extended twice a year at a time. In East China's Anhui province, an old airport is being repurposed to develop various unmanned applications, including low-altitude aircraft such as eVTOL. Our reporter Wu Bing went there to find out how low-altitude economy is growing in the province.
Feeling thirsty while walking in the park?
Hi.
Wave your hand at this cute little car and it will stop for you, so that you can choose from the drinks inside. This is just one of the various unmanned applications used in this park in East China's Anhui province.
This place used to be an airport, and over there is the old terminal building. And after it was abandoned, it was renovated into a city park. In fact, this is the world's largest city park, 4 times the size of the Central Park in New York.
Unmanned vending cars, unmanned touring buses. This is the country's first demonstration project of all-space unmanned applications, from the Earth to the skies.
On this vast airspace above Luogang Park, we carry out various experimental projects. We want to show everyone what our transportation system would look like in the future and how life would become.
This aircraft is known as Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing Aircraft, or eVTOL. But it has a simpler name, Air Taxi. It flies at a much lower altitude than the traditional aircraft does. The company has become the first one in China to receive industry approval for fully autonomous passenger-carrying air taxis.
At present, this equipment is used for tourism, urban air traffic, emergency rescue and logistics, and firefighting in tall buildings. The core technology is that the vehicle is unmanned.
In December 2023, the vehicles have successfully completed debut commercial flight demonstrations in Guangzhou and Hefei, respectively. That means the vehicle can start normal flights for aerial sightseeing and local scenic spots. This is the first step towards the future of hailing taxis in the sky. Developing low-altitude economy has been written into China's government work report this year as the country maps out future industries for high-quality productivity. Anhui Province has led the development in this sector with over 300 companies already in its fold. The government said the scale of low-altitude economy in this province has exceeded 40 billion yuan, or about $5.5 billion in 2023. And that is just the beginning.
We have designated 54 low-altitude pilot airspaces and opened 43 low-altitude routes. In 2023, the province had nearly 9,700 hours of general aviation flights and 1.44 million hours of drone flights.
China on March 27th issued an action plan to promote the innovation of general-purpose aircraft equipment. Unmanned drones are expected to be used commercially in various sectors, including urban air transport, logistics, and emergency rescue by 2027. Wu Bin, CGTN, Hefei, Anhui Province.
Gold prices surged to yet another all-time high on Monday, driven by ongoing global geopolitical tensions and increased gold holdings by central banks. The safe haven asset saw a gain of approximately 0.5%, surpassing $2,350 per ounce and breaking the previous record reached just last week. Meanwhile, in China's domestic market, the retail prices for gold soared to nearly 700 yuan, equivalent to around $100 per gram. Adding to the bullish sentiment, China's central bank announced that it had been constantly purchasing gold for its reserves for the 17th consecutive month in March. As a result, the total amount of bullion held by the People's Bank of China increased to nearly 73 million ounces last month. Meanwhile, the demand for gold jewelry is experiencing a notable surge, particularly among consumers residing in smaller cities. Our reporter Cheng Tong explores how these consumers are emerging as a significant driving force in the market.
This is Nanxun, a 2-hour drive from Shanghai.
Where we are is the most crowded area in Nanxun. I just counted. There are 6 shops selling gold jewelry along this Tai'an Road. 1 here and 5 more down the street.
6 jewelry stores in competition along the 300-meter-long street. In Nanxun, many people think of gold as an investment, but there are some who are buying jewelry to make themselves happy.
虽然是3、4线城市，我会发现现在很多就是消费者自己佩戴也是一个很重要的方面。现在很多都想取悦自己。第二个的话就是结婚、求婚，其次的话就是送礼。
Data from consulting firm Frost & Sullivan shows the money consumers in Tier 3 and lower cities spend on gold jewelry recorded an annual growth rate of some 6% between 2017 and 2022, a faster pace compared with large cities. Industry insiders say social media has been playing a key role in this growth.
Those young consumers get the information basically very quickly, nearly in the same pace as these consumers, young consumers in the big cities. So they know what is famous brands are, and it's easier for them to accept it.
The gold craze in small cities is even bringing cash to first-tier cities. We're back in Shanghai at this 3-floor gold jewelry shop in the city's landmark Yu Garden. It's one of the largest shops belonging to gold jewelry maker Lao Miao, and it features the latest designs. Consumers visit from all over the country.
上次在像老家那边买呀，我考虑到它的那个黄金那个量达不到，所以说我又来到你们上海这边来了。
那款式的呢？你会不会觉得这里比老家多一点？
多。
看一下手镯
你们是上海本地的吗？
不是，
是正好来医院玩吗？是从哪里来的？
山西临汾。就是看一下样品是不是会多一些。
Data from China Gold Association shows some 40% of the national gold consumption comes from 3rd and 4th tier cities.
The greater potential for growth may come from the fourth tier, even the fifth tier cities, based on the development of the economy and also the consumers' consumption power in those areas. So that's why those leading jewelry brands started to penetrate into the so-called fourth and fifth tier cities.
And now we're heading for a short break. Still to come on the program. The municipal government of Beijing has joined hands with the People's Bank of China to launch convenient payment plans for foreigners.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global business, only on CGTN.
Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao on Monday held a roundtable meeting in Paris during his visit to France, specifically addressing the electric vehicle industry. The meeting brought together over 10 industry representatives who provided insights into the current situation of Chinese EV makers in Europe. To get more details, let's cross over to Ross Cullen in Paris. Hi there, Ross. Good to see you. So what is the latest on the Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao's visit to France and the roundtable meeting focusing on Chinese EV enterprises?
Yeah, he's got a meeting this afternoon at the branch of the Bank of China, which is just here in Paris. We're just outside that office. But on Sunday, Wang Wentao met representatives of the Chinese electric vehicle makers BYD and Geely. And then on Monday, interestingly, he had a meeting with the National Interprofessional Office of Cognac here in France. Now, this is because China's launched an anti-dumping investigation into exports coming from the European Union to China of the distilled spirits. There's a lot of tit-for-tat accusations of unfair competition and protectionist practices going on at the moment. They're going to be some of the focus of those discussions between the Chinese side and the French side, because in September, the European Union launched its own anti-subsidy investigation into Chinese electric vehicle imports coming here to Europe, saying they were backed by unfair subsidies. And in December, the European Union also launched an investigation into biodiesel imports coming into Europe from China at what the EU described as artificially low prices. Now, China, for its side, says that both sides should act with prudence and that China firmly opposes protectionist behaviour. But there are issues of trade between the two sides, specifically France and China, and more broadly the European Union and China, and there will be some of the main focuses that Wang Wentao will be discussing on his trip.
Well, thank you very much for all that information, or Ross Cullen for us in Paris. Chery, the leading car exporter in China for over 2 decades, is expanding its presence by launching in the United Kingdom. To cater to the international market, Chery has introduced 2 new sub-brands, Omada and Jaeku. The move is part of Chery's strategy to tap into the European and UK markets, which are seen as significant sources of growth. Our correspondent Silva Macau has this report from the launch event in London.
Meet Omada 5, the first car to launch in the UK under Chery's international brand. Available in both electric and petrol, it's a mid-size SUV that's aiming to rival the likes of Nissan's Qashqai and Hyundai's Kona. The company believes a combination of futuristic design and value for money will be a winning formula with customers.
I think in a segment where it is difficult to stand out, our cars do stand out. So I think that's a really good start. So I think that's enough to get the sort of the interest. We call it sort of affordable premium. So we benchmark against sort of a lot of the premium brands. We're trying to bring those attributes, that design, the materials, the quality, the kind of level of features that you'd expect, but at a price point that perhaps people wouldn't expect.
The Omada 5 is expected to cost around $30,000 for the petrol model and $42,000 for an EV. Its sister brand JAYCOO, which will launch in the second half of this year, has been marketed as more high-end and rugged. Its price tag is closer to $45,000. At a working breakfast to mark the London launch, Omoda executives spoke to journalists about the importance of localisation. Omoda is already scouting out locations for a British assembly plant and says the UK is a market with lots of promise.
China became the world's top EV market last year, with around 5 million vehicles shipped worldwide. And as more Chinese brands, including Omoda and JAYCOO, enter the UK and European markets, auto experts predict that China will have around a 6th share of the UK's competitive car market by 2030.
Chinese brands already operating in the UK include one of the world's biggest EV companies, BYD, along with MG and Great Wall Motor, while NIO, XPeng and Ceres are among those expected to launch within the next year. But as an increasing number of Chinese cars appear on British and European roads, questions are being asked whether the influx, particularly electric vehicles, could hurt European car makers. The European Union has opened an investigation into whether Chinese EV companies are receiving state subsidies, and it could impose tariffs, something that Beijing has criticised as protectionist behaviour. And there's also the question of whether the EV market is slowing down, with Tesla reporting a sharp fall in worldwide sales and Mercedes-Benz delaying its electrification goals. Omoda still believes the future will be electric, fueled by battery technology advances, and it's working on battery sustainability solutions.
We have, for example, in this car, we have what's known as LFP technology, so it's a slightly different construction of lithium battery. It's more sustainable, it uses less lithium, less precious metals.
As the first cars are set to arrive at UK dealerships, Omoda is aiming for around 10,000 sales in its first year and hopes to increase to 50,000 a year by 2028. Siobhan McCall, CGTN, London.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen met with China's senior officials on Monday in a press briefing held this afternoon before her departure after a 5-day visit. Yellen reaffirmed that the United States is not seeking to decouple from China. She added the U.S. is ready to implement the important consensus reached in San Francisco last year between the two nations' respective leaders. The trip is Yellen's second official visit to China in the last 12 months after visiting in July 2023.
During conversations this week, I underscored again that the United States does not seek to decouple from China. Our two economies are deeply integrated, and a wholesale separation would be disastrous for both of our economies. Even as we take action to diversify our supply chains, we seek to preserve the broader trade and investment relationship that can benefit American workers and firms. China is a key market for American products and services, and competition between our firms can spur greater dynamism and innovation in American industries.
And now for more on U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's visit to China, I want to bring in Liu Baochen, Dean of the Center for International Business Ethics at the University of International Business and Economics. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor Liu. So a lot of activities and in-depth discussions in the past 5 days. How would you assess the outcomes of Yellen's visit?
I think it's going to inject a positive note between China and the U.S., particularly now when the U.S. is going on with the election and many of the hawkish voices are really getting clamorous. And right now, a second factor is that the global supply chain is under dramatic transformation. And now, by saying that there's no intention from the United States to seek decoupling with China. And this is really not only giving a more of a positive message to the U.S. business community, but also for the global economy at large, because after all, the two biggest economies, if they really go for decoupling, that's going to be a massive negative impact on the world economy. And then, he also brought up some messages that you may not really take it as advice with regard to overcapacity, but that can also be a reminder that for us to check whether we are really engaging that and where are those justifications that she may not really understand the logic behind. And then given also the framework that has been set up through the number of visits between high-level dignitaries across the Pacific, I think the situation is more or less stabilized, despite of some of the differences that may persist for long. And now, it seems that a decoupling for all stakeholders is not only going to be destructive, but also it is impossible. So therefore, this really gave a more stabilizing factor to both of those stakeholders that are really involved in the bilateral trade and investment also.
Indeed, some positive signals, but as you mentioned, there are also disagreement. Let's talk more about this overcapacity issue, because Yellen highlighted issue, and we also heard that Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao refuted such claims in Paris. Why do you think that this is a very significant issue for the United States, and how is China likely to engage with this issue?
Well, I think there are two separate issues. One is the industrial policy, which is totally a sovereign decision, free of any other country's intervention, and the other is market rules. So if you really boost the domestic industry when it's infant stage, and also that if you really support the education, support human capacity building, and even support the research and development. And this is really totally permissible by international rules, particularly represented by WTO. And now the other is really if you really go directly to the market for competition, and subsidies are really not permissible because that means a direct distortion of the market. And now China actually has already wound up its support during the infant stage of the Chinese e-vehicles in particular, and now is totally left to the market to compete. Within the Chinese market, actually, we see that there has been a consolidation process, and some of the businesses in the e-vehicles and even in mobile phones and also in chips are really getting busted because they are short of competition. Now, if you really look at the global marketplace, because China is not really making totally within its own border, but we are making for the rest of the world, be it the Belt and Road, be it Europe and North America. And now we are really contributing a great deal more because we bring the e-vehicles, in particular solar panels, that is there to, one is to alleviate their concern over the energy supply, and now also contributes to the climate change issues, which is really on the top agenda of those policymakers and also the consumers who care about their quality of life.
Well, market competition is certainly important to our economy, the world economy, but cannot solve all the problems such as climate change.
Absolutely.
Right.
So therefore, the economics, we call it externality. So the positive externality by supporting the environmentally friendly industries is the responsibility of the global community, not only for China, and also China is also under the pressure of delivering our commitment to the carbon neutrality and carbon peaking. So therefore, to build an economy of the scope and also the scale, that is really beneficial for China and also for the rest of the world.
Indeed, and certainly more communications are helpful to solve these disagreements. And Professor Liu, in light of the recent discussions, what implications does it hold for future interactions between China and the U.S.?
I think after many of those grudges and misunderstanding, and we see there has been noticeable improvement over the past 1 year, given the frequent exchanges at different levels, be it dignitaries and be it people to people, scholars, and now Yellen was also discussing with students, etc. So communication is the most effective and way to address some of the issues because many of those spats and even conflicts derive from miscommunication, misunderstanding, and particularly now when China and the United States are really brought up in a very different cultural environment with very different value system, with very different history, and now different policies. So therefore, the peaceful coexistence and mutual respect can only lead to win-win situation, but between communication and bargain also with reason, not really to quarrel, clamorously, emotionally. So this is something that we do expect, and that's already we already see some of the silver lining at the end of the tunnel. So set aside those differences and understand that the responsibility to be shouldered by the two biggest economies is very important in terms of human health, in terms of the how to care about the Mother Earth, and in terms of how to really set up good examples for future generations to follow.
And we hope that kind of discussion will continue between the two sides. Thank you very much for your analysis. That was Liu Baochen, Dean of the Center for International Business Ethics at the UIBE for us. And Beijing's municipal government and the People's Bank of China have joined hands on a plan to transform the Chinese capital into a more consumer-friendly city, with a focus on facilitating easy payment options for inbound foreign consumers. As part of this initiative, the Solana Shopping Park in eastern Beijing has been designated as a trial zone. Our Song Yaotian has a story.
Thanks to a linkage program that connects the payment systems of China and 8 other countries, foreigners can now shop at Solana Shopping Park in Beijing simply by swiping their local payment QR code. This seamless payment experience, combined with the opportunity to feed pigeons, has made shopping at Solana a highly enjoyable and convenient experience for visitors.
As you know, it was a great experience with NeaPay, because I can easily pay here in China. And when I will go back, I will share my experience with my family and my friend.
The linkage program facilitates the integration of 11 foreign e-wallet systems with the Chinese payment system.
We've done tremendous amount of integration, deep integration, immense amount of testing and connect the payment systems of both countries to make sure that the payments are seamless, fast, and very, very convenient for our users.
Thanks to recent policies aimed at facilitating foreigners to live and conduct business in the Chaoyang district, where Solana is located, the Bank of China has reported a significant increase in newly opened accounts by foreigners, with a total of 154 accounts established.
We have many foreigners living and doing business here in Chaoyang district. We have high level of internationalization. Convenient payment is basic need for foreign citizens. We have raised coverage of foreign bank post machines in our district. All major shopping malls and hotels have realized 100% coverage of these machines.
Song Yaotian, CGTN.
And that will do for this edition of Global Business on CGTN. I'm Guanxin Beijing. Thank you for being with us. Bye for now.